Shadow Realm in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a place of despair and anguish. It is described as a separate dimension where those who wield the powers of darkness could send you if they really wanted to make you suffer. But that's not necessarily true. See, in actuality, the Shadow Realm, it's not real. It's just a metaphor. 4Kids Entertainment, the company who localized the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, were the ones to coin the phrase Shadow Realm. It was created in order to censor the harsh reality of what was actually going on in the original Japanese version. And what was going on in the original Japanese version? Well, death. I mean, you can actually imagine it, right? Some guy walks up to the executive of 4Kids saying, I've got a great series for you here. Children playing card games, misadventures, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be awesome. And then you got the 4Kids executive saying, that's really good and all, but there's a lot of people dying in this show, and this is meant to be aimed at kids. Can you fix that? So, this is where the Shadow Realm comes in. The Shadow Realm is basically a place where you can take all the bad stuff that happens in the series, anything too traumatic or a little bit too edgy, just sweep it all under the metaphorical rug, with the metaphorical rug being the Shadow Realm. I imagine you want some examples, right? Well, one of the many great moments of this censoring is when Yugi and Kaiba are forced to pair up in a tag duel against Umbra and Loomis. The duel takes place on a glass floor 300 meters above the ground on the roof of a building. Did I mention that there were explosives on the glass as well? Now, depending on the version you watched, we have two very different consequences of losing this duel. In the English dub, if your life points hit 0, the bomb connected to the glass will explode, shattering it, causing the loser to fall into a portal into the Shadow Realm.
When your life points reach 0, the surface below you will be destroyed, opening up a vortex that leads directly to the Shadow Realm.
In the Japanese version, however, if your life points hit 0, the bomb connected to the glass will still explode, just like the dub, except instead you will plummet the full 300 meters down to the floor, resulting in death.
ライフカウンターがゼロになった瞬間にプレイヤーの足元の爆破装置が作動。足場となるガラスが破壊され、プレイヤーはビルの屋上から落下する。
So this is the kind of stuff that usually got changed out in the dub of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Basically, the consequences of death are swapped with being sent to an ambiguous place of suffering, the Shadow Realm. I mean, there are loads more instances of this. Like, for example, during Yugi and Arcana's duel, the consequences of losing in that is that a dark energy blade will move closer to you, and if it touches you, it will send you to the Shadow Realm. I know what you're thinking, it's a little bit elaborate just to send someone to the Shadow Realm. I mean, can't they just do that without all this elaborate stuff? Put your mind aside for a minute. If we wipe away that blue energy, we can see an actual buzzsaw inching its way closer to human flesh and bone. Cause of death from this game? Probably will be blood loss. We also have when Yami Marik places Mai inside an hourglass after she loses her duel with him. She is sent to the Shadow Realm, where she is forced to watch her friends leave her one by one. However, this completely omits that in the Japanese version, she would also slowly be asphyxiated to death by the sand building up in the hourglass. And I have to mention this one because I swear to God, people seem to forget about this moment in the series. After Yami Bakura defeats Bones in a duel, instead of sending them to the Shadow Realm, like he does in the dub, in the Japanese version, Bakura summons the hands of demons to drag these characters down into literal hell. Yes, Bakura can summon a portal into actual hell in the Japanese version. That's crazy. Now, I do have to mention that the concept of the Shadow Realm does come from something real. It actually comes from two things specifically from the anime series. The Shadow Realm's appearance is based on the real event in the series known as a shadow game. Players are transported to an alternate dimension surrounded by, typically, a purple fog. This world is used in order for them to remain uninterrupted in their duels, as well as serve as a way for villainous characters to manipulate the duel to their will. Like Marik creating the life threads or disappearing bodies during the duel. The second influence comes from a place occasionally mentioned in the original series called the World of Darkness. This was a place where people's souls could temporarily be sent to, i.e. let's think, say, Solomon Muto, where Maximilian Pegasus ripped out his soul to put it inside of a card. That was basically him sending him to the World of Darkness temporarily, because his soul did return. Or an example that we had earlier, when Mai was in that alternate world with the hourglass with Marik, that was basically an example of the World of Darkness. We actually see more of the World of Darkness in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, where the entire world is actually placed in the World of Darkness, by the final antagonist of that series, coincidentally known as the Darkness. In this sense, the World of Darkness is basically what the Shadow Realm wanted to be, except for the fact that the Shadow Realm sends anybody that dies or anything like that to there, whereas the World of Darkness is just a place you want to send someone if you just want to hold on to them for a little bit or just make them suffer for a little while. It is worth mentioning though that despite 4Kids' attempts to censor all death in the series, they do miss a couple. Like for example in the Yugi and Possessed Joey duel, the dub forgot to mention that they definitely won't drown to death if they lose this duel. They probably should have mentioned they'd be sent to the Shadow Realm at the bottom of the little lake thing, you know? Probably worth mentioning. Or, more tragically, Cecilia Pegasus. Maximilian Pegasus's main motivation for doing the actions that he does in this series. His wife died. He just wanted to bring her back. That is in the dub of the show. You would have thought they would have completely cut that out, saying that, oh, because I had the Millennium Eye, she got sent to the Shadow Realm, and my motivation for finding the other Millennium items is so that I can bring her back. They didn't do that. I mean, it is nice that they don't admit all realities of death in this series, but it's kind of confusing at the same time, isn't it? Why is it okay for Panic to try and burn Yugi to death in one episode, but it's not okay for Yugi to fall to his death in another episode? Kind of confusing. Even outside of the Shadow Realm, death can sometimes be substituted in the Yu-Gi-Oh series with things like kidnapping. Like in the case with Asta Phoenix in the Yu-Gi-Oh GX series. His father was murdered in the Japanese version, and it sets up a real understanding on why he wants to become a hero of justice. As opposed to the dub where his father is kidnapped instead, and his whole character motivation for being the way he is becomes really silly, to be honest with you. The main reason why I wanted to make this video on the Shadow Realm is, one, because of a YouTube user known as Radoslav Raychev, who did actually ask, and I thought it was a really good idea, so thank you very much. But the other reason was so that I could ask you guys the question, should the Shadow Realm exist? And I'm not talking about the purple world people get sent to when they are defeated in the children's card game. No, I'm talking about what the Shadow Realm represents. The censoring of real-world issues and consequences in shows aimed towards kids. Does removing the darker aspects of show cause kids to struggle to deal with real-world issues because they've had no experience with these issues at all? Honestly, I'll let you be the judge. Please sound off in the comment section below. I'd love to know.